options available for failure in consumer guarantees relate to minor failures and major failures. The failures can be classified or decided on in 5 points. The first point has to do with title and the characteristics of it. The second on the good itself, the characteristics of the goods, and then the fitness for purpose. And on the service, we have the due care and skill required in the delivery of that service, and the reasonable time at which it is supplied, and the fitness for purpose that that service was supplied. So on these 5 points, we can decide whether they are minor failures in consumer guarantees or major. It is a major failure if the buyer of the good or service was not aware, and then if he was aware of the failures, he would not have bought that good or service. It is unsafe, it was very unfit, and not a demo. So minor, of course, will be falling short of those characteristics of a major failure. Now, the minor failure remedies for goods and services are the buyer will require the supplier to remedy the minor failure within a reasonable time. And if the supplier fails to remedy the failure in reasonable time, the consumer may take action against the supplier to recover all the reasonable costs incurred, or the consumer may reject the goods and services and the contracts related to the goods and services, and may terminate the contract for the supply of goods and service and the contract related to these goods and services. So that's for minor. For major failure, the consumer may immediately, unlike minor, the consumer may require the remedy of the minor failure, but in major failure, which again, if the consumer is aware of the failure, they wouldn't have bought the goods, etc. If it is major, the consumer may notify the supplier immediately that the consumer rejects the goods and services, and then would notify the supplier what the grounds are for the rejection, and may terminate the contract for the supply of the goods and services, and may obtain refund for the goods and services, and the consumer may take action to recover the damages reasonably foreseeable to the supplier due to the failure of the consumer guarantee, except when the reason for the failure to comply with the guarantee is beyond the control of the supplier. Alright? So what are the limitations of liabilities for failure? That's in section 64 and 64A. A contract that will limit the liability of the supplier for the goods and service has to do with the trying to meet the remedy of the failure for the consumer guarantee. So it's the replacement, repair, payment for replacement and repair or repeat of supply. So the contract term that limits liability on replacement, repair, and payment for replacement, repair, and repeat of supply is limited. And if there are other terms in the contract that limit the liability for failure in consumer guarantee, the validity of that term in the contract will be determined by the courts in regard to 3 things: the bargaining positions of both parties, the quality of consent in the agreement to accept the remedy or whatever agreement there was, and if the consumer made a special order. So of course it's more difficult for a supplier to meet certain terms and conditions in a special order. And the consumer is no longer entitled to reject the goods if the goods were destroyed, it was the fault of the consumer, and if it is attached to real property, it will be damaged if it is returned to the seller, and then the damage occurred after delivery, not related to the state and condition at the time of supply. Now, the ways that a seller can remedy the failures are: He cures the defect in title, repairs the goods, resupplies the services if necessary, replacement with identical types of goods, and refunding of the money or equal value of consideration provided by the consumer for the goods.